Hey everybody, Dr. Nick Scotto with River City Physical Therapy, located right here in the heart of Jacksonville. Today I wanted to talk to you about the top 3 signs and symptoms of hip impingement syndrome. Otherwise known, the medical term is femoral acetabular impingement. But for the purpose of this video, we'll just call it hip impingement syndrome or hip impingement or front hip pain. Now, this is a common condition seen in people who are very active. It's commonly seen in dancers and people who maybe do your Olympic lifters, your CrossFitters, people who do a lot of squatting, okay? And also athletes who have to cut a lot during their sport. So it's something that can affect athletes all across the spectrum, and it can affect non-athletes too. And we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about the signs and symptoms. So the first, number 1 hallmark sign is pain with squatting. So you're doing some squats, and when you get down towards the lower end of your squat, you start to feel kind of a pinch or pain or maybe an ache in the front of your hip, in the growing area of your hip, either in the groin or the front. So pain with squats would be the first hallmark sign. This is the number 1 complaint that people will have when they come to see me for this condition. Now, the number 2 complaint is pain with transitioning from sitting to standing. So you may be sitting in a car for a while, or maybe you're at a restaurant, or maybe you're just watching TV at your house, and you go to stand up and you go to put pressure on the hip, the painful hip, and that creates maybe like a little bit of a jab, a little bit of a catch in your hip. Again, we're talking about kind of the front growing area of the hip. So transitioning from sit to stand, if you have pain with that, that might be a sign that you have the femoral acetabular impingement. Well, I said I wasn't going to use that term, apologies. Hip impingement syndrome. So again, pain with transitioning from sit to stand. So yeah, pain with squats, pains with sit to stand technique. Another common complaint that people have with this condition is just pain in their growing front of the hip area with prolonged sitting. So they're sitting down for a while and they start to kind of get a little bit of a dull ache in their groin, in the front of their hip. It's just very annoying. And if you're on a long car ride, it can become painful. And you kind of have to constantly adjust to get rid of the pain. So pain with prolonged sitting in the front of the hip. And then I have a little bonus sign for you. So there's something that's called the C sign. So if someone asks you, well, where's your hip pain? And you take your hand and you kind of just grasp the front lateral aspect, the front and the side of your hip, and you say, my pain is just here. It's like right here. And your kind of fingers in the front of your hip, kind of in the growing area, and your thumbs on the side of the hip. That's called the C sign, and that's a good indication, hey, that maybe what's causing your hip pain is related to that hip impingement syndrome. So that's something to think about as well. Again, this is a condition that affects a lot of athletes, especially those who do squats during the workouts, who do cutting and jumping for their sport, and then also dancers, because they have to have a lot of hip mobility to perform their job. So if you have this condition and it's really kind of hindering you from performing well in your workouts, maybe you're unable to set personal records because of it, or maybe you're an athlete, you're not performing at the highest level that you would like, or maybe you're a dancer and you're not performing at the level that you would like, give us a call at 904-566-7070 and I'll talk to you and we'll see if you truly indeed have, hip impingement syndrome, and then we'll talk about what can be done about it. Hope to hear from you soon.